You know, when you were younger and you do those quizzes in your favorite magazine when you'd go to the grocery store and say, what blah 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 are you? And as we progressed into the digital age, a lot of more BuzzFeed quizzes, such as spend $20 on a morning coffee and I'll guess if you're more September or October, and everything in between. These were some of my favorite activities to do just because they're so silly and fun and they're meant to be taken lightheartedly. And so I thought I'd do my own equivalent version, which is your coffee order equals your fashion inspiration. I've also seen Phoebe Taylor do something similar with home decor you should buy based on your fashion taste. Definitely a shout out to her on this because it's very inspired by both these things. I wanted to do a fun way to showcase some fashion inspiration for you and explain to you where I'm getting this inspiration from this coffee order. So if you disagree, it is okay. Don't get mad at me. But this is fun, so let's get into it. So you stroll into your local coffee shop. What drink are you going to buy today? I think we should start off with an iced Americano. Now, for those of you who may not ventured into the iced Americano world, an iced Americano is some shots of espresso in water. Now, it's a very efficient drink, just some water and some espresso shots. So it's convenient, you're on the go, which is going into what this fashion inspo will most likely be. To me, when you're drinking an iced Americano, you are not drinking it for joy as much as you are drinking it for a little bit of a caffeine boost. And more importantly, you're on the go. If you order an iced Americano, your fashion inspo may be kind of on the sportier side. I have this in a twofold effect, which is one, a little bit sportier. If you're enjoying kind of this sportier, more hiking, nature-esque vibe of the photos that I'm putting on. I know Pinterest tends to grab onto the core names. So we have some photos of Adidas shorts, which I think is good. You know, they're not being worn as trendy as some people try to make them. It's really just putting on a pair of gym shorts and your sneakers and running out the door. While I am showing some fall photos here, they tend to be dressed in very thin layers because you're moving so much. You know, you want to be able to not overheat so fast, which is why it's a lot of thin layers and thin clothing, but definitely wearing some pieces that are made to last. You know, I love that these nice t-shirts tend to look a little bit of better quality. And now onto the accessories. Very minimal accessories when it comes to an iced Americano drinker. On one side of the spectrum, you're just wearing one bag and you're on the move and on the go. On the other side, though, you have too many bags actually. You know, it is a busy day, it is hectic, you are stressed. You have your boss asking you to do five things at once, you have all your bags on. And you know what? You need a little pick me up? The iced Americano is there for you. It'll get the job done. Up next, we have the London Fog Latte. Despite its name, it actually originates from Canada. Now, there is lore behind the London Fog Latte. Now, when I think of a London Fog Latte, I think of cozy, relaxed fits, almost like you're going to the library and just settling in a dark corner for the rest of the day. Very fall oriented colors. And in terms of accessories, we're going for knits and crochet and a lot of slouchy bags. With a London Fog Latte, you just want those cozy vibes. So, what better way to get that than with some oversized sweaters, some really maxi over the top pleated skirts? Comfort above all else. When I think of a London Fog, I just think of a rainy, dark day. A lot of that is emulated in the color choices we have here. We have a lot of dark colors like grays and blacks, and even some beautiful chestnut browns. Minimal patterns from this fashion inspo. We have a few stripes here and there, but it's really just putting on the coziest things you own and going out the door. And so when it comes to accessories, I really imagine someone who's getting a London Fog Latte, like I said, kind of going to a library or a coffee shop, really getting cozy in the corner, and you're hunkering down for the day. You are crocheting or knitting something. And so I really can imagine some really beautiful knit and crochet accessories that they've made throughout the years, whether it be a nice chunky scarf, some really beautifully made mittens, or even some shawls that I know are getting more trendy right now. I definitely can see kind of headscarves and bonnets that are nicely knit and not too over the top. I think the big thing with the London Fog Fashion Inspo is we're going for minimal colors, minimal statement pieces, really cohesiveness above all else. Oh, are you the person who goes to a coffee shop and orders an affogato? Well, congratulations. You probably have the coolest style out of anyone. If you haven't had the experience of having a fantastic affogato is a classic Italian dessert. It's typically a shot of espresso poured over vanilla ice cream, and it is superb. And you know what else about an affogato? If someone's getting one of those, they do not care about anyone else's opinion of them. They are doing what is true to them, which is why I see someone who gets an affogato as the funkiest, most eclectic, fun, whimsy outfits. They know patterns and it's a pattern party. They are the person when you see them, they can be wearing 20 different patterns at once and somehow it looks like the coolest, most cohesive outfit out there. And I will always be jealous of that. I think it relates perfectly to the affogato because it is such an out there coffee order to get and so random. And you know, You have no care in the world when you get an affogato. You are having a good day. It's fun, it's happy, and which is really what I'm trying to get to when it comes to these outfits. They're very fun. Lots of different colors and patterns, lots of different shapes. They aren't all going to be everyone's cup of tea, but the person who's wearing them is so confident in that outfit that they can really get away with wearing anything they want. When it comes to accessories, the more maximalist, the better, in my opinion. You will see them in a scarf, in a hat, in a bag, all of super chunky material, weird patterns, and it feels so true to who they are. Similar to the London Fog Latte, they love their crochet and knitting, but it is over the top. It is completely different. These are two separate vibes in that crochet and knit community, and one of them cares about pattern mixing and statement pieces. And if they're wearing a bonnet, that bonnet is chunky, oversized, has bejeweled accessories on it, something that is giving you a statement piece in everywhere you look on them. You walk into a coffee shop and you order a vanilla latte or iced vanilla latte. I think I know what your style is. You are the older sister version of the affogato in a way, similar to the drink of the vanilla latte. It's taking a classic and putting a fun little twist on it with adding this vanilla syrup, and I see the same with your fashion inspo. You're into a lot of classic looks, keeping it simple, playing into patterns a little bit, but they tend to be more muted, and more importantly, you love to add a little pop of an accessory, a little detail that makes it a little bit more unique. Whether that be taking a classic look and adding a little pop of color sock, wearing pants with a funky hem at the bottom, taking what could be a very simple pleated skirt and making it plaid, and adding purses and hats that just are a little bit weirder than the rest of your outfit. I think I might fall into that vanilla latte category with my fashion inspo, but that's not actually my go-to drink, which is why don't take these to heart. The vanilla latte drinkers don't really veer into pattern mixing to the max, but they definitely try to insert themselves with a fun little pattern on the pant or maybe some stripes, something to give them a little bit more pizzazz in their look. You know those super sweet caramel blended beverages of sort, anything that tastes sweet to the max? That's this category, specifically with blended beverages. You are somebody who gets this drink. Your fashion inspo is inspired by the dads of the world. Obviously, this is very biased to me because my dad loves a super sweet blended beverage, and I know a lot of people have talked on social media about how their boyfriends love a super sweet caramel type drink. And so I think this is the perfect category for definitely a tomboyish style to definitely take center stage. What we're getting here is little to no accessories, playing into that dad trend. So a lot of New Balances are going to be in the mix and a lot of denim shorts. These are essentially no fuss outfits. You're really just having some simple, clean lines of a nice little t-shirt on top, some rugged denim jeans that are nice fitting, and any type of sneaker. I think a lot of people love this style, and I love that it can be gender neutral. And these inspo photos right here showing of guys and girls wearing them together is exactly the vibe that I'm thinking. I do find it funny in a way, something that's so sweet and out there and has such high characteristics of being that beverage that everyone knows about, in tandem with these super simple looks that are not over the top. I find that dichotomy very funny. And I like it, so I'm going to keep it as that. You walk into a coffee shop and order a matcha. Now, I know what all you are thinking. You're saying she's going to say anyone who gets a matcha, super micro trendy, over the top. Everyone's saying matcha's too trendy now. Wrong. You silly, silly geese. I would never make matcha the micro trendy drink because matcha is a very beautiful drink, in my opinion, especially when it's not super sweetened. And it reminds me of my best friend Alyssa. She's an avid matcha drinker. So I'm going to be playing into her style a little bit, but also when I think of matcha, I think of someone who's not necessarily super into caffeine. They just want a little bit to help them out throughout the day, but nothing over the top. And that's kind of how I think the matcha style would look like. Simple, clean lines, no crazy textures, cozy yet again, a lot of earth tones is what I imagine. I think obviously matcha being green really has influenced that. And if there's layering involved, it's nothing too crazy, nothing really too constrictive here. I think a matcha when you're drinking it, just having a chill day, you don't need anything over the top. Which is why you're going to be seeing a lot of nice, loose, wide, like pleated trousers. I think those are as cozy a pant as you can get. To me, they feel almost like pajama pants in a way. With the layering, it's going to be maybe just a nice little tank top over a classic shirt, keeping it simple and clean. If accessories are getting involved, it's maybe one or two here or there, a nice little necklace, definitely a statement piece of a sort because you're wearing such a simple look. maybe a little ring that's a statement piece. I see a lot of comfy sweaters in the mix, but also, some nice oversized tees. A lot of nice structured pieces are going to be involved here. If I see you walking into a coffee shop and you're getting a shot of an espresso, you think you're better than everyone. You think you're better than everyone. And you know what? Maybe you are. Because like an espresso, your style is probably rich. Did you see how punny it was? That was hilarious to me. I did not do that for any of the other ones. So to give you what my take would be on your fashion inspo for the espresso, we are definitely giving a rich energy when you walk into the room. It doesn't have to be necessarily expensive pieces, but you present very expensively in what you're wearing. You're definitely going to see a lot of satin. You're also going to see kind of maybe over the top construction, but also not even in a very harsh way. The construction of pieces that are draping so beautifully, and also even, velvets or chiffons. It's just over the top luxury. That's all I see when I see espresso, and I love it. I want it. This fashion inspo right here, I'm about to start drinking shots of espresso. Maybe it'll get me to that point. Now, you walk into a coffee shop and you're getting coffee with a splash of milk, oat, almond, soy, dairy. I'm not shaming the dairy drinkers here. Any splash of milk, if you will. This one to me is almost playful corporate in a way. I think you're going to see a lot of blazers as your styling inspo. It's going to be giving a little bit professional but also still youthful and fun. And this one's definitely taken from my own personal life. I'm having a work day and I just want some coffee, but I don't want a black coffee at this point in the day. I want to add a little splash of milk, something to just make me feel like this drink is a little bit better. So, you're trying to deal with something that is the basic, but you're adding a little bit of something to make it feel a little bit more fun, that splash of milk. And so I think you're in terms of accessories, you're probably dealing with a little bit more oversized bags, nice belts that are cinching in, nice little button ups. I think these outfits are the perfect example of the first time you start playing into more adult like outfits. You're mixing still some youthful elements while also trying to raise the stakes and look a little bit more put together while maintaining your own sense of style. Did your coffee order actually help your style inspo a little bit? I try to do a little bit more of abnormal videos, runway versus real people, weird fashion for cool people, and like this one, also a little odd, but these are the most fun for me to make. So if you want me to make something similar that's a little bit weird, let me know in the comments below and subscribe if you're feeling crazy, and I hope you have a lovely day.